Hey everyone, it's Jess with Word on the Street number 4. I am back this week to showcase a couple of products that are in the Market Street marketplace that aren't actually stamps. I am showcasing the Distress Stain and a new ink that we got in. But first of all, I am going to go ahead and stamp the bit of burlap stamp on the back of that craft cardstock there using Versamark ink. This is one of my favorite techniques to use because Versamark ink will give you that watermark look on any color of background. So I'm doing it on craft here, so it'll look just a little bit darker than the craft. But if I was using the Versamark on any color, red, blue, green, it would just be a little bit darker than the actual cardstock. So that really eliminates the need for 100 different colors of ink because you can just use the Versamark. And I have the stamp mounted there on the big block that's also available in the Market Street Marketplace. And it's really handy for the big background stamps. It gives you a lot of control over where you're going to place the stamp. And it also allows you to put just the right amount of pressure on the stamp so you are sure to get a crisp image. It is tricky with background stamps to make sure that the whole background actually transfers onto the cardstock. But I do think that having a block does help with that. And a good firm pressure. As you see, I pushed on this stamp for quite a long time. So I've lifted it up there. You can see my post-it to the left was just to mask off the background, so I only got it in the area that I wanted to get the stamp. Now we have just a little bit of antique linen distress ink, and we are going to go ahead and ink around the outside of that panel there. That is cut down to be 1/8 of an inch matte on the front of the card. And I always ink around the edges of my elements, well, almost always. I think it just takes away a little bit from the harsh line of the outside and helps everything to blend together. And now it is time to share my new favorite ink. I'm going to be using this stamp from the Hippie Chic set. It's a little peace quote. And that is the ink. It is Versamark or Versamagic chalk ink in Jumbo Java. And it is the juiciest chalk ink I have ever used. You really don't need to apply very much. I actually have an outtake where I totally squished it over the stamp. You really need to use a light hand with it. And just make sure that you are evenly applying over the whole stamp. Market Street stamps are very soft and they are very detailed, and that is a great thing. You get an amazing image, but you have to be sure to use the right ink. And this ink just pairs so well with them. There is, no shadowing, they don't squish around. It really gives you a crisp, clear image every time, and I love it. So I'm just going to press it in the center of my cardstock there. It's a little bit to the top, but I always try to stamp my image a little bit to the top because your eye visually puts more weight on the bottom, so it will look more visually pleasing. Now we are going to use that same ink again, and even though it is a chalk ink, you can emboss with it, which a lot of other chalk inks that I have used you're not able to emboss with, but this one is particularly wet, so it allows you to do that. So I have a little chipboard heart there. That is from the Maya Road Chipboard Love Notes collection. And I'm going to continue using that burlap background and bring that to the front of the card by stamping it on the heart there and then clear embossing over that. So I haven't inked up the whole stamp, and I'm just going to push really hard right there onto my heart and try to get an even image, and it was perfect. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of clear embossing powder to the heart. And I didn't let it sit for very long. I worked pretty quickly, so I'm not sure how much time you really have to play with these before you couldn't emboss anymore, but it worked just fine as long as I was working pretty quick. And then I'll just go ahead and use my heat tool there to set the embossing powder. Now I wanted to showcase another new product that's over at the marketplace, and that is Distress Stain. This particular color is Worn Lipstick, and it's a really pretty pink color. It's not too bright pink. It's a nice soft pink. And I went ahead and applied that on the chipboard right over where I embossed. Because I embossed that background stamp, it won't smear, and the wetness of the stain won't affect it at all. I was reluctant to try distress stains, but now that I have used them, I just see how versatile they are. They are not concentrated like distress alcohol inks, if you use any of those, or the re-inkers that you use for your distress inks. They are just a liquid form of the actual distress ink. So you can use them on ribbon, chipboard, card bases, backgrounds, fabrics, canvas. The sky's the limit with those. I really think that they are a great product. So I'm going to use it again just to kind of tie in the color in another portion of the card and ink the little bird that's also from that same chipboard set. And the tip of the distress stain is just a fabric pad, and it is really easy to work with. You know, it doesn't get too messy, and you kind of control the flow by squeezing the bottle. If you squeeze the bottle, a lot will come out. If you don't squeeze the bottle, none will come out. So it's very easy to handle. And the more you put on, the darker it gets. It does have a little bit of layering ability. If you just put on one layer, it'll be lighter, 2 layers darker, and so on and so forth. And then on this little birdie, I wanted to use that ink again and just color him with that ink. The ink covered very well. It looked perfectly brown and matched the other browns that were on the card, which I really liked. And I don't have any other of the little ink pads. I've never really used those before, but it allowed me to get in all the little cracks and crevices and allowed for a lot of control when I was coloring around the bird, so I really liked that as well. And then I think I ended up using my heat tool on that little bird just to make sure that it was completely dry, because the ink is pretty wet. And I think I used it on the pink bird as well. Now it is time to put the whole thing together. I'm just using some dimensional adhesives on the background of that panel there, and those are 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch dimensional adhesives. I have those two sizes, 1/16 and 1/8, because I think it allows you to layer a bunch of things on your project without getting it too crazy high. And I'm just peeling off the paper backing on all those. And you can't really see it on video, it didn't really pick it up, but that burlap background is back there, and it's a lot more visible in real life. And I think in the photo you'll be able to tell it a little bit better as well. Now to apply my heart on the front of the card, I'm going to use some glossy accents, and you can see me try to get it to come out there because my bottle always gets clogged. But I did manage to unclog it there, and I'm going to just put a little bit on the back. You don't need a ton, it's a really powerful adhesive. And just place it in the corner there. I put so many dimensional adhesives on the background, more than I would have on that panel, because I knew it was going to have to hold up these elements, and I didn't want it to be saggy in the corners. So now I'm going to put the little birds together with some glossy accents just on their heads there, and then I will attach those to the card as well. Here is a photo of the card, and here is a close-up. Thanks so much for watching. Check out marketstreetstamps.blogspot.com as well as jesslarson.blogspot.com for more paper crafting fun.